This is Flip the Right Way for the daily video. It might not be. We're gonna hope so. Rotate device back. Rotation is locked. Give me 1 second. Oh god. Let's do this. Auto rotate. Why is it locked? Don't do that to me. Alright, I'm sorry, guys. We'll just do it this way. I'll hold it. Alright, guys, the daily video. Here we go. Loneliness can become clarity. Being alone and being abandoned are different things. I always have this saying that I try to remember. I forget where I heard it from, but it's solace in solitude. And for those of you that don't know, solace is one of those words I also had to look up and was like, I've never even heard of that. Solace is the comfort or consolation. The consolation you feel in a distressing situation or misfortune. So we often have to find the solace in the solitude in these situations. So I think, the solitude can be the solace, if that makes sense. You find a lot of times that being alone is sometimes an act of solitude. It doesn't have to always be, isolation where you have no choice but to be alone. I think a lot of times if you can choose to be in solitude, then it's more of a healing process, if that makes sense. So, solitude can reveal what matters. Who are you? When no one's around, the question answers itself. What emotions come up? If you immediately feel some type of way the second that you are alone, and the second that you have no one around, or whatever it may be, I think that it really answers like deep down who you are as a person and what's going on in your psyche and in your mind and how you're projecting yourself or presenting yourself in the world. You really have to find your solace. You have to find that comfort and consider that, like what we've been saying over and over again throughout this whole series of videos is that being uncomfortable and getting comfortable in the uncomfortableness is exactly what we're saying here in the solitude. Like it's going to tell you where you're uncomfortable in your mind by the emotions that come up, because they're going to nag you and you're going to have to acknowledge them, you're going to have to address them, and you're going to have to work through why you feel so lonely or so sad or so depressed when no one's around. I'm a prime example of that. I'm extremely extroverted. I love being around people. Being around people gives me a lot of energy. And when I'm around a lot of people, I'm like on a high. I'm just like really juicing and going 100 miles an hour. And the longer that I stay separate from people and I isolate myself, I feel really bad. But I've had to learn how to be in a solitude and learn how to grow from there, because you can't always rely on people and you can't always be out in the world. If it's 10, 12 o'clock at night, you can't be surrounded by even just people. I like just being around groups of people and just walking around outside, whether it's, you know, doesn't, I don't even have to interact with them. It's just being around and seeing people does that for me. So you have to find the solace in the solitude. A lot of people fear stillness because they meet themselves there. And I think that's super important. I'm really bad at this. I probably should try to do better at it. I think this is a form of it for me, but I think meditation is a way of having that stillness where you have to address these things that go on in your mind and you have to address the thoughts that arise and pop up. And especially in that emotional state, you're going to feel these type of way and these things. When the world stops and you really only hear you, if you don't distract yourself, which is huge, very important, that if you can actually refrain from distracting yourself while being alone and not just staring at a screen or watching a show or whatever, that you can really kind of find yourself. When was the last time you came face to face with yourself and actually listened to the thoughts that you are constantly projecting but suppressing in the background? Because if you come to that awareness of what I'm actually saying to myself in the background, but I'm not listening to, you might realize that, oh my God, I'm kind of self-deprecating, or I'm kind of self-sabotaging in this way that isn't beneficial for me, and maybe that's why my emotional state is all over the place, or maybe that's why I do feel depressed or sad or lonely, you know? I think there's a huge benefit to being aware of yourself in this stillness, because that's really showing you the mirror of where you're at and who you are. And this ties right into it. Your relationship with yourself shapes everything else. How you think, how you talk to yourself matters. How you respect or lack of respect for yourself and who you are building, or tearing down. I think you really have to, again, like I was saying, you have to get that awareness going. You have to build that relationship with yourself and know who you are. Like I'm saying, like I'm one of those people that like I get my energy from being around people. So the second I'm kind of not around people, sometimes I trick myself and I feel like I'm sad or depressed or lonely because I'm not surrounded by people, or I'm not laughing or talking to somebody. And I think we have to pause and take a moment to realize that like this isn't isolation, like I don't have to put myself in this position where it feels like a prison sentence because no one else is around. It's like you have to be okay with being alone. You have to be all right with that. And it's like, are you going to tear yourself down every time that like somebody can't hang out with you, or that that's just the way things play out in life, like you're going to have to come to terms with that. So respect yourself enough to build the relationship for yourself, to actually develop your awareness into hearing your emotional states and conquer that, and get used to that and hear it out, listen to it. Maybe there's something deeply rooted there that you have to that you've been like ignoring, that you need to come to terms with, so that way you can move forward. And then once you do, you realize that baby steps have brought you to a totally different person. And that's kind of how this next line ties in: is silence can either haunt you or heal you. Find out who you are. The silence shows you your relationship with yourself. Who are you to you? And that's everything that I just was saying. Who do you want to be? Act as if you are. Start today, each day, slowly over time, and it will show, and you will be them. If you do this and it takes one step at a time, you will see yourself, and you'll forget that way you used to be, and you'll be like, holy shit, dude, I made it. I made myself one day at a time because I was aware and I took the time to listen to myself and say, it's okay, dude. That little boy that's hurting inside of me, or the little girl that got traumatized as, a child, it's okay. And we can move forward because we're older now. We have the awareness to be okay with what happened to us. Not saying that it was okay, but we can heal that wound and be okay going forward. I think I have a good example of that today. Is that I have a coworker at my job, and he's not overweight. He's not super, he's not heavy by any means, but he's got a belly on him. He's got like a beer belly. And he was saying how he was upset that he had that. And I said, well, what do you do? Like, do you try to work out? Is it just not working? Like, are you eating right? He's, no, I don't do anything. I just eat whatever the hell I want, and I don't work out, and I feel like shit. And I'm like, well, shouldn't you change something? Shouldn't you try to do something? And like I was telling him, was that, dude, why don't you just start small and I was telling him, I was like, why don't you just do like a 5, 5, and 5? Like do 5 push-ups, 5 sit-ups, and then 5 like body weight squats. And if you just do that, takes you what? Not even 5 minutes. I was like, if you do that, then do that every day. Like you get home before you even take a shower, just do that really quick. Boom, 5 push-ups, 5 sit-ups, 5 bodyweight squats. I was like, and then do that for a week. Then the next week, do 5 more. So now it's 10, 10, and 10. And then do 15, 15, 15. Just like as you feel comfortable and as you progress. I was like, I guarantee you, if you did that, even eating what you're eating, you will feel better, and you will probably lose weight as long as you're not eating like, 5,000 calories after you get home from work. So, but this is the problem, is like he hasn't had that conversation with himself enough. He knows he feels this way, but he hasn't had that conversation with him enough to say, wow, dude, this makes me feel this way, and I recognize that because I'm doing X, Y, and Z, I feel X, Y, and Z, so I need to do X, Y, and Z. I try to help people as much as I can. I try to talk to them and motivate them, and who knows, maybe he will, maybe he won't. I just hope that he can find peace within himself enough to feel okay in his own body. So, my ending thoughts. Maybe this season alone isn't punishment, but maybe it is a preparation for what is to come. So, what does the next season's last chapter of your life look like? Who do you want to become? What will you do to make reality better today, tomorrow, and always? But remember, you must start now. You must do it now. You can't make reality better tomorrow because tomorrow never comes because it's always now, it's always today. So when I say today, tomorrow, and always, I mean to build that habit and to grow into the now moment of saying, you know what, I'm having this thought and I should do this thing and I should build it now. So I would leave you guys with that. And I just wanted to say thank you all for who join it and who show me what's going on. And as always, make reality better for you.